He has tweeted.
What do you got?
Francesa
What do you got?
Has tweeted.
He has risen? Oh, no, wrong guy.
Different guy. Mike has tweeted, long time coming, first time tweeting, don't waste my time with dumb stuff. Which all feels about right.
Good luck with not wasting time with the dumb stuff.
Welcome to Twitter.
Have you met Twitter? How about this from Doug Branch, who writes in, Maggie, the Mets payroll 12th, according to Spotrac, at $57 million, but insurance will pay $15 million off of David Wright's 20. So the true payroll, $142 million.
Yep.
That's about a little over the league average, but only, this is what he says, only 10,000 more than the Twins. Oof.
That's a rough one to hear.
Yeah, for the sixth most valuable franchise in the league.
Yeah.
877-337-6666. Where do the Twins value out? That's what I'd like to hear.
Stand by.
Yeah. Jason and Glen Cove will start us off today. Jason, what's up, dude?
Good afternoon, guys. How are you?
Great. How are you?
Good. So I think what you guys were saying about trading away Syndergaard and how it may be too early, especially with how much control and his age, I think you guys are spot on with that. And I think you guys are also right in talking about how DeGrom is a little bit older and how, if you get a king's ransom, then you could trade him away. But I don't think they're in any rush to trade him this year. It would have to be the right deal. But I do think they should more aggressively look for trades for guys in their bullpen like Familia and Ramos and Blevins because, having a bullpen's great, but they're in no position to compete, and it's easier to get bullpen pieces to build your team than, say a starter or some prospects. So if they can trade away those relievers, especially with the good starts they've had, and get some really nice pieces in there, that are pretty close to making the majors, I think that's a very smart decision, and you're not really sacrificing, a ton. So I think that'd be a good place to build off of, for this deadline.
But what pieces are you getting in return for Ramos, Blevins, and Familia? Probably some prospects that aren't ready to help contribute for the next couple of years.
Well, it's not even going to be close to what you'd get, obviously, for DeGrom. I mean, here's the thing. Yes, closers definitely become, with injuries, with the trade deadline looming, you're definitely going to have a market for closers. That happens every single year. So I would say that Familia might have a little something, but I mean, then it seems like you're kind of half in and half out. That's the thing with the Mets. It's almost like it's like a microcosm of the whole season. They were awesome in the beginning. They're terrible now. It's like there's just no middle. You don't know what this team is. And so if you're going to go around just, getting rid of Blevins and Familia and you're just nibbling a little bit, what ultimately does that solve for you? I mean, unless you're going to get some really good prospects.
Well, but that's the thing.
Why are you wearing reading glasses all of a sudden?
Oh, I think Boomer lefties. I'm in Captain Kirk's chair, and I just want to feel like what it feels like to get old.
Yeah,
I feel like Fred Sanford and Sanford and Son when he used to have the drawer of all the reading glasses. He used to put the reading glass over the reading glasses. I tell you what,
you look like when Jerry Seinfeld has to wear the glasses out of the Lost and Found from the theater. Or he was like,
this is amazing.
From the Alex Theater?
Yes, from the Alex. Exactly.
Life has never been so clear.
You honestly, you look like you just turned 55.
You do. You look all of a sudden very old. You need a suit with patches on the elbows.
Is there some gray in that hair right now?
I got two.
He looks like Denzel Washington at the end of the hurricane.
What was the name?
What a life it was.
Ruben Hurricane Carter.
Yeah. Gather around, young ones.
On that front with the relievers, too, what is interesting about what he had to say is that there has been this uptick in the importance of relievers to all the analytics folks out there. So does that change the market when it comes to the trade deadline? Those are the guys that you're trading at the deadline. Those are the guys that are going to make the biggest impact then, I think, of what you can get in return. It also just depends on how well they're pitching. Look, I think for Familia or for any of those other guys, you're not getting A-level top-line prospects.
What the hell are you going to get for Blevins, man? I know he get lefties out, but what else does he do?
It depends how desperate somebody is to get a lefty, but I don't think you're getting a whole lot.
Sock day?
Well,
yeah. Maybe you got maybe you got to give him some socks back or something.
This is from Tim Britton from The Athletic. He said Robert Gazelman is on pace to win 17 games in relief this year. And I don't know if that's a good thing.
Mark in Oceanside. Mark, what's up?
Hey, everybody, happy Friday.
You as well.
This thing I'm thinking about is I don't want to think like you guys. I want to think like a Wilpon. And if I'm a Wilpon, I'm going to play it halfway. I don't want to sell off DeGrom and Syndergaard because I don't want to signal to my fans, don't come. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to pay to go all in because I'm a Wilpon. I want to go play the middle, draw as many fans as I can, maintain a small market payroll for New York City, as you guys was astute enough to say. The David Wright whole Ponzi scheme is a boon for the Wilpons because they can run around saying, oh, our payroll's 157 when it's actually 142. That's why they haven't tried to retire him, because he serves as a front for them. In fact, they'd love 3 David Wrights, so they say they're paying out $60 million and getting 45 back. The Wilpons do not think about winning. That is not on their ledger.
Yeah, I think that was a spot-on call. Meanwhile, the Minnesota Twins, the valuation for them, they are the 23rd most valuable franchise in Major League Baseball.
It's like a slap in the face.
I'm sorry, 22nd. Pardon me. That's behind the Orioles, the Diamondbacks, and the Pirates.
Everything.
The Pirates.
That makes all the difference in the world, please. You know,
lower my ticket prices or something, man. If that's the product,
none of that's happening.
No, and that's happening. And that's what the caller's saying, and that's why that was such a good call, is by saying they try to run the team on a small market payroll, but they want to keep the fan base invested. So they're going to keep, so maybe that's where Andy's article really comes into play here, because if you extend DeGrom and if you extend Syndergaard, as a Met fan, that would signal something.
Okay, well, if this is what we're talking about, though, worried about the fan base, that's not the way to win. That's not the way to win. You know what they say, if you're too worried about the fans, pretty soon you'll be sitting with them. Yeah. Well, when it comes to ownership, you can't go half-assed here, and that's what it feels like. That's what it feels like every year.
That's what we said this offseason with the Vargas signing, with the Swarzak signing. It was like,
it was just hush. It was hush money.
Just doing stuff, and then all of a sudden Vargas comes out and he lays an egg, and we'll see what he can do at his next start. And Swarzak has pitched 2 innings in the third.
Yeah. What is it John Wooden said? Don't ever mistake activity for achievement. That's what it feels like. Steve's in Fishkill. Steve, what's up?
Hey, hi guys. Welcome home, Chris.
Thank you.
In regard to the Mets, Sandy Olson, is this his last year?
Well, technically, he got a contract extension, but it was for 2 years, so we think that this is the last year. Okay, then if the Mets don't start doing anything by after Memorial, I think they should give him his vacation pay.
Well, I think put it this way.
Is Omar going to take over?
I don't think Omar's taking over. I think Omar would be a number 2 to John Rico, ironically enough, considering that used to be the other way around. I think John Rico's going to be the guy, and I would also say this. If you are right about they're not going to fire Sandy before the end of the year. They'll let him retire at the end of the year, I would think. And then, but you'd have Rico and you'd have Omar and you'd have those guys making the final decisions during the season.
You'd have to.
I hope so, because Omar could rebuild this team.
But it's not going to be, I don't think Omar's going to be the guy.
It's not going to be fast, that's for sure.
That's what I'm saying. It's not fast, so then you're not going to be able to benefit from signing DeGrom other than to get fans to continue to pay premium for tickets. Because if it takes 3 to 4 years, then DeGrom is 33 and then he's going to be on the downside of his career. It's the same argument that I had, me being a Lions fan when I said that they should trade Calvin Johnson. And it was like, okay, if you're not winning with him, then you got to be able to use him as your biggest trade chip to get young talent to try and build it and change the culture around here.
Meanwhile, he retired to go be on Dancing with the Stars.
Exactly, the very next year, and they could have got something for me. You talk about not looking on Twitter. Me being from Detroit, they thought I was the dumbest person in the world. How could I ever get a job at CBS or get a job on TV? Like I must be a Neanderthal. And he retires the next year. And we're saying the same thing about DeGrom. He's your biggest chip. It's going to be some team that thinks that he can get them over the top before the trade deadline to try and win the title, and they love the fact that they don't have to pay a lot of money for him.
Mike in Bensonhurst. Mike, what's up?
CMB, I appreciate the work you guys are doing.
Thank you.
About the Wilpons, this is music to my ears, because since 2003, when Nelson Doubleday bailed out, first of all, he told us that the Wilpons were going to run this team into the ground. The prophecy is fulfilled, okay? But the problem is this. You talked about debt, Madoff, Citi Field. In 2015, The New York Times reported this. They refinanced $750 million of all that debt and consolidated loans. We are in year 3 of that. During the offseason, if you remember, Jeff Wilpons announced that this year's opening day payroll was going to be $20 million less than last year's. Well, last year, the Mets received a $20 million reprieve on their pilot loans or their pilot bonds for Citi Field that they knew they weren't going to have this year. Point is, they've never been forthright with us. And again, the prophecy is fulfilled.
Well, and don't forget also about the $50 million windfall that each team got from Memo Bam this year.
Yeah.
Where did that money?
Where did that money go?
Well, that's supposed to be money that would be, improving the team. It's like the same, I think, with the revenue sharing money. It's like you just have to show that you are putting it back into the team. You can't put it back into your pockets, but that can mean so many different things.
Yeah, that's bookkeeping.
How about this one from Brian? Talk about a little conspiracy theory. We're describing the back page of the Daily News with DeGrom and Syndergaard photoshopped in Yankee uniforms. Brian says, we never did get a real reason for why DeGrom cut his hair.
That's a bit of a conspiracy theorist, is it not? Come on.
I think he's just, it's so hot on the back here. Yeah, getting head start. It's showing the Steinbrenners and Cashman like, hey, I'm willing to do it.
It's a blind audition.
No Clint Frazier here.
Dan in Kingston. Danny.
Hey, what's up, guys?
How you doing, bud?
So first of all, I think it's fun to talk about the DeGrom-Syndergaard hypothetical trade to the Yankees, but we can all admit that there's absolutely no chance anything like this would ever happen, right? We could admit that, right?
You mean to the Yankees? I think that's.
Yeah,
the Yankees. I don't think there's any chance that the Mets would trade either one of those guys to the Yankees. No, I'm talking about trading DeGrom in general, not just the Yankees.
No, but the idea that at some point one of them might end up on the Yankees is obviously not beyond the pale. But I don't think that the trade would happen. No.
Right, but seeing them in the Yankees uniforms on the paper today is just, it got me thinking from a Yankees fan perspective, I would love to have DeGrom or Syndergaard, line in right there behind Severino, but, with talks on the internet about giving up Torres or Frazier or Sheffield, you got to be crazy if you're the Yankees thinking you're going to hemorrhage your future for these guys. Don't get me wrong, they're top-line starting pitchers, but, Torres looks like a world beater.
But wait a minute. Don't you expect, though, that the Yankees will add an arm before the deadline?
Well, I hope to think that I would, but if we're gonna hemorrhage our future with Torres, who looks like he could be all-star potential, and then Andujar is also that name's been thrown into the mix, I just think that would be a really bad move on the Yankees.
Right, and so maybe not Torres and Andujar, but that means you're not getting a guy on the level of DeGrom. If you're not going to be willing to part with the prospects that are not the prospects, they're here. If you're not willing to part with those guys, then you're not going to get that level of guy. That means Justin Verlander type is not joining your team like he did with the Astros last year. Well, Verlander was a different thing. Yeah. But
that's the one thing that's going to be.
In terms of the talent level.
But you're going to be going against a Verlander, so why not go get a Verlander to face a Verlander?
Hey, I would. I think if the door was even slightly open on DeGrom, the Yankees would be nuts not to talk about it.
Yeah, but I wouldn't want to give up the guys. I wouldn't want to give up Torres.
But
you got two of everything. But you got Drury right there that you went and got for. He's 25 years old.
A guy with blurry vision and headaches. I'm not sold yet.
Who you wanted before you even knew he had the headaches, and it has performed with the headaches his whole career. It only can get better. It doesn't get worse. It gets better.
I don't know. I feel like you're messing around with your brain there. Like that's something that you could treat it.
It said it was a nerve in his neck.
Or
tightness in his neck.
I'm okay. that is a lot of risk for me.
Get him on my pillow.
I don't think.
Hell.
I'm not doubling down on that hand right now because I don't know when that could flare up. And what if it happens to flare up right before the ALCS?
One thing though, I can't take from the Yankee fans, and I know that everybody else couldn't. Don't call up with the ridiculous offer.
Yeah.
Don't call up with our C-level guys to go get DeGrom.
Yeah, Florial.
That's not happening.
I love Florial, but
he's an A-ball.
No, he's far away. How about this one? I said I felt nauseous seeing DeGrom and Syndergaard in Yankees uniforms. Mondo Monsterwear said, take a Pepsid. After seeing Doc and Daryl and Cone and countless others with the Yanks, I've gotten over the feeling.
877-337-6666. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram, where if you go to Instagram right now, you can see Bart Scott wearing some glasses that make him look like he's about 78 years old. He is Professor Bart Scott at CMB WFAN on Twitter and Instagram. 1:36. It is CMB here on the Fan until Mike at 3 o'clock at 877-337-6666.